Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Good evening. Welcome to you to the East Lampeter Township Planning Commission meeting of May 10th. Call the meeting to order, and first item is Pledge of Allegiance. We can all right? Oops. That's not cool. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As I said, I'm Darrell Cecil, Chairman of the Planning Commission. Also present this evening are Jerry Huskin, Randy Patterson, Sarah Ryder, Jason Dagan. 5 members are all here tonight. Planning Commission, and Tom Cecil, Director of Planning, Dave Sinopoli, Zoning, and Alicia Hare, Administrative Assistant. And I believe there's nobody online. So all attendees are present in the room. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of April 12th. You had a minutes in your packet. You had a new one this evening. There was an adjustment to the motion for the Mr. Car Wash, item A under new business. The motion was updated. The reason you got a new one this evening. So,
Yeah, Daryl actually did it for me, but I was like,
having reviewed the minutes from April 12th, are there any other comments, revisions? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes.
so moved.
We have a motion by Jerry. Do we have a second? And a second. All those in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe the ayes have it. So, thank you. Next item on the agenda is old business. None this evening. Under new business, we have Plan 2021-32, Angle Properties, Final Land Development Plan Lot Anon. And if you could identify yourself, and I believe the mic's on. Here's the mic, thank you.
Sure. My name is Ben Craddock. I'm with the Lancaster Civil Engineering Company. I'm here with Elvin Engel from Engel Properties. And we're here to ask for your consideration of the project before you. It is, there's 2 lots under consideration. The first is 1782 Lincoln Highway East. It's an existing single-family residence. The existing 2 lots are right around a ½ acre each. The first one there That's actually the proposed condition, but the existing lots, lot 1 faces Lincoln Highway East, and lot 2 is kind of like an L shape that goes behind it. And that's a vacant lot. Fronts on southeast. Mr. Engel would like to reconfigure the lots a little bit, make lot 2 a little bigger, lot 1 basically at the minimum size, and then construct a 12-unit apartment building on lot 2. That's what you see. That's what you see in the screen there. The proposed building on South Eastland with the driveway and apartment facilities. The corner of lot 2 is reserved for a stormwater facility. We've designed the basin to capture and infiltrate the entire 100-year storm from all the impervious areas. So we don't expect any negative impacts downstream. And that's really about all there is to it. We have a review letter from David Miller Associates. I could go down through, answer any questions. I could go through the modifications, however you want me to proceed.
Yeah, we had the review letter from April 14th, and then we had 2 reply letters from you in regards to that review letter.
Yeah, I think my 2 responses, one responds to the comments individually, and then the second one, I believe, was updated modification of this letter. Okay.
Right, to some of the waivers and to the comments.
Correct.
Yeah, if you have a letter, if you want to go through,
I do. Would you like me to go through
you can start with the waivers.
the waivers? Sure. The waivers, first one is a modification of section 303, the preliminary plan. We don't have any, we're not phasing the project, so we're asking for preliminary plan to be run along with the final plan. Plan scale, the ordinance is specific 50 or 100 feet to the inch, and we're doing this at 30 feet to the inch. It's a little closer. Curb along all new parking lots. That's a modification of section 604A. We're proposing curb up alongside the apartment building. If I remember right, around some of the radiuses, but not along the backside or on the edge where we want stormwater to run off. So we're providing partial curb along the parking lot there.
Now, my understanding that curbing will be between the parking lot and building itself,
Correct. Yeah.
just on that side, and then around the island or in the back.
Yes, sir. We have a modification of section 302A2C for the loading ratios. Our loading ratios are higher than what the ordinance allows or what's recommended by DEP. But we do have a fairly low depth in the facility, which basically the loading ratios are there to try to make sure you're not putting too much water in one spot. And the fact that we have only 0.88 feet kind of shows that we're doing the same thing. We just didn't meet the loading ratio requirements. Next modification is minimum pipe diameter. We have one inlet proposed along Southeastland Drive, and it collects water from Southeastland and pipes it into the stormwater facility. Our stormwater facility is at a certain elevation because we have bedrock and we're trying to keep it above the bedrock. Basically, by having that elevation the way where it is, we can't fit a 15-inch pipe in there. So we're asking that a 12-inch pipe be allowed. It exceeds the capacity for a 100-year storm, and it's actually not even in the roadway. It just goes from the inlet into the property. The last one is the 100-year dewatering time. The 100-year storm dewaters in 42, well, this is our calculations, 42.5 hours. It's probably, I can't be that specific, but and it's supposed to dewater in 24 hours. This is due to the on-site infiltration rates that we experienced. Not a whole lot we can do about that, but I did point out in the letter that the total dewatering time of rate control and volume control is less than what's allowable in the ordinance if you add both of those together. So we're asking for that modification. And then finally, we're asking for 2 deferrals. Installation of curb along South Eastland and Lincoln Highway East, and then also sidewalks as well. So if you recommend approval of these, the owner would still be required to do them whenever the township asks them to do it, just wouldn't be right now. Modifications. Any questions I can answer for any of those?
Just for this side, what he was following was April 26th letter, which was in different order than another review letter. To
Okay,
help
sorry.
avoid some confusion, he was using his reply letter, which jumped around in
Okay.
a different order. He did make some modifications to the original request after the review letter was done by our engineer.
Yes.
So, so to help understand, originally, I didn't see anything in your review letter other than your other letter of April 28th and read comment number 2 under waivers, where you said, we request that the deferral request for the widening of existing streets be withdrawn. So you're going to widen, what's the status of Lincoln Highway? Is that at the proper partway width?
It is, yes.
Okay, and then Southeastland is,
It's a little narrow than what it's supposed to be, so we're proposing to widen that.
so you will widen.
Right, yeah.
So you're proposing to widen that. Now, we talked about curbs in the parking compound. What about curving on the street
That is one of the deferrals that we're asking for, curb and sidewalk on the street.
and sidewalk?
That would be under a deferral agreement.
Yes, sir.
And so the only sidewalk you're providing at this time is the piece between the parking lot and the building.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm guessing these are rental units? Would be rental, okay. Would there be any value in sidewalk? Well, the building, the way it's located, we have a proposed plan here. I guess the apartment, is there a front or back to the building? In a sense, to some degree, it looks like the back of the building faces Eastland and the front would be the parking lot. You're showing some patios in the back or on the one side, which typically is the back of the unit, but. So will they enter the units from the Eastland side? Or from the parking lot side?
We'll
Okay,
enter from the
okay,
parking lot.
okay,
Yes, sir. Yep.
okay. So would there be any need to have sidewalk on the property down to Eastland in the future? I'm guessing that, as more public transportation gets promoted and used to get them out to Eastland or even out to Lincoln Highway for a bus stop or a bus pickup. But currently there's only the driveway into the property as far as the hard surface to exit the property by car, enter. Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking have you looked at the Bridgeport Crossroads plan at all? That's prepared and finalized last June, July. Okay. there are proposals for improvements from the Bridgeport intersection east, west on Lincoln Highway, out towards the Ritas and a little further, include several recommendations, sort of any stage. But if that occurs, sidewalks, potentially a medial strip, lane on Lincoln Highway each way, some turn lane, things of that nature. It's not finalized, but that's kind of where it came out. And that would be curbs and sidewalks. So I can see deferring that on Lincoln Highway until the final ends. There's currently sidewalk across the street from you over at Rose Tree Acres, Rosewood. The apartment complex across Lincoln Highway. There is currently sidewalk the whole length of that property, immediately across the street. But I'm just interested in sidewalk in the site to get you to the right of way. Anticipating that sidewalks will be built in the future. The bridge crossroads plan proceeds. It's recommended along the whole length of it, I believe, but it's not in final plan, if you will. There was a final recommendation through that study. A lot of that was centered on the intersection of Bridgeport at the Weiss Markets and all there. I'm sure you've driven it. It's a difficult area. There's no pedestrian provisions. It's difficult for bicycles. It's really a vehicular hazardous area right now that needs improved. So, so the proposal, would be coming out along there. And as you had, the portion of your property next to Lincoln Highway is mixed use. So it's interest in, business and residential. So, it's just my interest was in this discussion was just getting people a pedestrian way on your property to the right of way. If that-
We met with township staff. They kind of have the same questions as well, as far as whether people could access from the front of the building. Right now, we're not proposing a connection because the sidewalk's not there. But it's a hill. It'll be a hill coming down off the sidewalk from Southeastland because the property will sit lower. So if we put something in there, eventually it'll be a stairway or something like that to that breezeway up to the sidewalk. For the time being, we expect them to use the access drive. That's the way they're going to be used to going in and out, and it's going to be the easiest as far as topography to get in and out. So
that is an option, but it's not unusual for plans that we see similar to have sidewalks internal with deferrals for right of way pedestrian sidewalks. It would be easier now to plan that, because on that side of Southeastland, partway in the pavement, and it pretty much drops immediately down into the site. Not a lot, but it does drop down. So it'd be easier to grade and prepare that, my estimation now, rather than trying to fix it later. It'd be a lot more cost and work to try and fix it later than now providing that.
sure, to provide a stairway from the breezeway up to this sidewalk, I'm not sure that there would be any rework when it comes.
Well, the stairway's fine for able-bodied people.
Right.
Needs, some provision for accessibility.
Yeah, we didn't have any plans to put sidewalks along the access drive or anything like that. I don't think that's required by this ordinance. Some ordinances it is, but I don't think that this one is.
Any questions on the waiver request? And then there were 3 items under zoning, which you had provided a response to, and those items you can finalize with our zoning officer.
Yes.
And that we don't have any leeway on, so that's under subdivision and land development. There were 9 comments. And there was a favorable, if you have any questions on those, there's a favorable reply to all of those.
No, I felt pretty good about addressing all of the things.
And then stormwater, there were 2 comments, which you addressed, affirming the agreeing to what was recommended, and then the dewatering time, which we talked about, and the DC SM title blocks. We also had a letter from Lancaster County. With 4 comments. Their first item is, it is strongly recommended that sidewalks are installed when development occurs on the site. However, if the township determines that deferral is appropriate because of future road projects, then a fee and load of sidewalks should be considered. And without them saying, I'm thinking they're referring to the Bridgeport plan for future road projects. So the other is in regards to the planning commission's review certificate. They've revised it to just the 3 new one in. 3 revised deeds for the resultant lots should be recorded as part of the plan, and add the LCPC file number. Those are the 4 comments in the county review letter. Any comments from this side, planning commission?
Just one question. So let's say we're in the future and curb and sidewalk are placed along Eastland. Is there space on the, let's see, what direction is that? The south side of the apartment unit building that is along the driveway, the access into the parking lot? Is there space there to run a sidewalk from the parking lot out to Eastland if that?
There would be. Yes.
Okay. I personally am a little concerned with assuming this is potential family units with kids walking along the driveway to access the road as opposed to, oh, they'll probably walk through the grass anyway, but you know, from a development standpoint, a planning standpoint, of a sidewalk that would run from the parking lot to Eastland along that side of the building would provide more safety for people that are there instead of having to walk in the driveway. Do you have a potential cost for that kind of a sidewalk? Is the slope an issue there as well?
No, I think it would fit.
Okay. Is that? Okay. Is that, what is the slope like there?
It's a 3-to-1 slope.
Yeah, I think to the chairman's concern, that's not really an accessible access point then to Eastland on a sidewalk because of the, you'd have to be able to go up steps or whatever, and you do have a handicap parking space here. So that's my only concern about just having steps that go from Breezeway up to Eastland. If you had a 3-foot wide sidewalk along the south portion of the apartment building from the garage to Eastland, at least that's a flat surface and provides easier access.
Just to confirm that that would not be an accessible access.
No,
It's just-
Yeah, but it would be more accessible than stairs.
Sure.
Is that something you would consider? Is that something you would consider doing, adding that sidewalk from the parking lot to Eastland? Yeah, it doesn't have to be along the driveway. It can be along the building edge from the edge of the parking lot on a straight line to Eastland. South side, the south side.
South side.
Right where the arrow, right where she's showing the arrow. I mean, it's an internal sidewalk, so I don't know if there's a width requirement for the township, so it could be 3 feet.
And after the existing sidewalk parallel to the, and just give you that, that walk and do a 90 degree southeast is what we're looking at.
I mean, and to be honest, we'd be happy with the landscape walkway of some kind, permeable gravel or some. It's a flat surface that people have to walk in the driveway, but they can get from the to Eastland.
So access to the units is through that center easeway. I'm hearing. They're not actually entering it on the side of the building. They're going into that way. Access to 12 units. Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. That's understandable. Yeah, our family and I have a bus up there probably for students. School bus, yeah. Yeah, some old campus planning techniques where you put the buildings and the roads in and you put no walks in until the students determine where they're going to walk. And then you go back, but it's laid out such that they anticipate putting sidewalks in and allow for it, but where they actually put it is after the students where the walk in, the path of the trail. And then you put it in. But I think you can, if you want to landscape, I think you can guide them where they should walk, do your landscaping without them destroying the landscaping. Because depending on the kids, they'll walk on or through anything.
On the path of least resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Any comments, questions from our audience in regards to this plan? If not, we'll look for a motion.
So I will make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors the approval of plan number 2021-32 for the Engel properties at 1782 Lincoln Highway East. With that recommendation is to approve the waiver request for the filing of preliminary plan, approve a waiver request of the curbing requirements, a deferral of construction of curbing and sidewalk on Lincoln Highway and Eastland Drive, and the parking compound except where you show curbing. Substitution of the maximum loading ratios, the plan scale, minimum pipe diameter for the stormwater conveyance, and the drainage control, the grade control storage over time. Waiver request that you asked for also be granted. You've addressed the zoning, subdivision, land development, and stormwater management, but note that those are also in the David Miller letter dated April 14th, 2022. with which we would expect compliance. And then finally to items number 2, 3, and 4 on the December 6, 2021 letter from the Lancaster County Planning Department. I didn't include number 1 because we've deferred construction of the curb and sidewalk with a deferral agreement.
And
With the recommendation.
And okay, I was going to say any.
Thank you. Yeah.
You skipped over sidewalk.
It's even my idea. No, I did approve the deferral agreement for
Right.
curbing and sidewalk.
Yeah.
But with the recommendation that Mr. Engel look at the possibility of putting a sidewalk on the south side of the apartment building from the parking lot to Eastland Drive.
So we have the motion. Do I hear a second for the motion?
I'll second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Opposed, abstaining, none. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, the new business is Plan 2022-8, PG Sulfurs sketch plan. And as they're setting up, this is a sketch plan on this side. So discussion this evening, but no action, no formal action is taken by the planning commission. So there won't be a motion on it this evening. Just a discussion so they get some as to what we're looking for on this side when they come in with their preliminary and or final plan. So they're wondering what we're thinking.
I'm Joyce Gerhart, Associates. This is Perkins. And as Daryl mentioned, here the sketch plan for 458 Mount City. It's actually right across from Suan Drive. And we're proposing a cul-de-sac. We are in residential. Allow for single homes. The proposal is to have a cul-de-sac basically up to the beach walk, so that all the support comes down towards Mount City Road. And we're looking at 3 waivers. We're not using phasing project. And then curbing. And curbing the sidewalk along the to provide curbing the sidewalk along what we had proposed as an alternate is that we provide sidewalk from this property line across the front of EG. This is where EG's office are. Across that frontage and connect to the where the sidewalk ends at the existing here to the north. think it's the middle
The
school.
current
now,
middle
but
school.
it's-
Middle school.
It's going to be an elementary school.
That's his school.
It's his school.
By name.
Wondering why.
We got that elephant out of the room now.
So the proposal was rather than provide the sidewalk here, we thought it was a benefit to the community to provide a connection up to the school. One of DMA's comments is to provide a trail connection to the trail that's on the school property here. There's a couple of reasons why that's a little problematic. One is the grade change here. There's an 8 to 10 foot grade change between this property and where the path is. And secondly, we're a little reluctant to provide a trail through private properties to connect to the school because we know that it's going to be school children that are mostly going to be using it. There's not an HOA. It's going to be, just in an easement. It's not going to be a right of way. So we're a little reluctant to provide that. So we wanted to get the feedback from the planning commission on those items. So one of the thoughts that we had was rather than provide the connection this way, that there could be a connection come down this way. There's also going to be a lot of add-on connection with the Chubb property, and speaking with township staff, we understand that we do have to make the road frontage improvements on Mount Sydney on that property. Also, because it's going to be part of this plan. Currently, there's a shared driveway with the horse farm and the Chubb property. Rather than have them connect out to Mount Sydney Road with another driveway, we're going to provide them access through here that they can provide their driveway and connect their driveway to this cul-de-sac.
Is the Chubb property where they, I guess a couple of years, where the double wide, the trailers in?
Yeah, I think it's a Cape Cod style kind of house. That way.
Right, okay, so, I remember that going in. Oh, the trailer's up, oh, okay. Because
Yeah,
that was
this
just,
doesn't even look like it faces, it has a Mount Sydney Road address. If you
Okay.
drive by, you wouldn't even notice it's that. The house is back here.
it's right across Suwan is the pasture, horse pasture that's currently
Yeah.
being used. And then going down on your drawing is another fenced-in area that appears to not be used anymore. That's on the Chubb, okay, because that appears to not be, yeah, there's like fence there and it kind of blends with where the horse pasture is across from Suwan, but it doesn't appear to be being used. Okay, so that's part of the Chubb property then, that's, okay.
So
Just
one
to
of
get some
our
there.
thoughts was, if we're providing this connection here, then ultimately this could connect, and the school property actually comes out to Mount Sydney. And it would make more sense to have a connection along Mount Sydney Road and then have the trail connect into the trail system on school property. And it's actually rather flat from Mount Sydney out to where the trail connection is. Yeah.
I was gonna say, do we have a trail plan where the trail?
Just have.
Okay. I'd ask, if we had one. Colin may
This is
have,
the master plan for the school.
Colin may have a full scale,
And
or
I
full
actually
size.
did walk this today, this existing trail. And it's not just a grade, they've planted it heavily, so it's a heavy landscape road through there. And our thinking was, if we could provide a sidewalk along Mount City to connect the end of the one school property, as far as we've kept control, which is these two properties, including Chubb. And then maybe even provide a fee in lieu of installation of a sidewalk along here that we do not control, which is these two pieces of property. One, this is N and Z. There's actually sidewalk there. but it's pavers, it's like a
Mhm.
sidewalk paver. So it's really just one property there that would not have a hard cadmium surface. So there's some great concerns there. And then it would get you right to the ground of the school. You know, and a logical connection there versus trying to it's through this cul-de-sac.
That's what I, yeah, initially when they started construction, this was a construction entrance property, but that's, now there's some trees and things planted there, so I thought that was gonna continue to be it. But it'll drive in, but it's not.
There aren't any
Field here,
trees
so it
along the city line. There is a road side. This is actually right. There's a wide open area for like connection back
To the cul-de-sac.
I have the grading plan right here that shows the trail and the contours.
So this section here in purple doesn't exist.
It does.
So this is the corner
Oh,
of
yes.
their trail property, and this is the property. Right in here, it's like 6 feet, here it's 8.
Okay.
Try to go down here, it's 10 feet, very different, and
And
there's
there's
no
no
trail.
trail.
Mhm. Well, and that's the other question I had, and this grade change is on the school property and
Correct.
not yours,
No,
so.
it's on school property.
Yeah.
And they have heavily landscaped this.
Mhm.
They're gonna be custom or semi-custom, more than likely. They'll all be at least 3, probably 5.
You mentioned the sidewalk. Are you talking from the access road to, you said from the edge of the property, but you mean from the road? No, no, you said you were going to provide a sidewalk to the school. Yeah.
Where the sidewalk ends now.
Is that
Yes.
what you're showing in red here?
Yes. So the
So
sidewalk
this-
ends here now,
Help me here a minute. This is your,
That's the property.
Your
That's the
property.
boundary.
and this is EG's offices.
Right.
and your
You have
office.
control of that.
Okay. You still have offices there? Okay, because you're over. in
We have a
the old-
commercial presence.
The old
on
bank
the
building?
area.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was just
So
saying.
this would come all the way up to the school.
Yeah.
And you
You had-
said there is, I'm sorry.
That's all right. You had commented from the edge of the property. I'm just saying, you're talking about from the street to the sidewalk.
Yeah, and actually, sorry if I misspoke. there.
Yeah.
What I was saying is, in lieu of, obviously, we would have to do our frontage.
Yeah.
And then in lieu of providing sidewalk on the cul-de-sac, we would put sidewalk across
Yeah.
here too.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
that it's from the street, the whole way from the street to the sidewalk.
Yes,
And then, once we get here, there is sidewalk on Mount Sydney.
correct.
Yeah.
I'm trying to recall, is there sidewalk on the drive into the school?
No.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
It
It's-
comes
It stops at
across-
the corner
Walkway here.
here. Stops at the corner. So it's just a little bit on the edge of the corner. But it stops here.
And then
stops
there's
there.
sidewalk here to get into the
Right.
building, so it's
Right.
just a short distance. from
But
that
is there a sidewalk?
No. Stops there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it does look
Kinda
like a
looks like,
different color there.
yeah, it does look like sidewalk here, yeah. And the width of it, it looks, yeah. That's what, that really looks like. Well, but then here, you sure that's not sidewalk? This lighter color. It comes down and there's two.
Does look like
On my way to work, and I can't.
Because
Is
it
it
comes down,
sidewalk
it
or
looks
is it
like
just
there's
a-
two entrances into the building.
So it looks like something.
I'm pretty sure it's on one side, on the school building side.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there is.
Since I drove down.
That
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's that.
must be.
Yeah, I think it
sidewalk.
is curb and
But then it
sidewalk.
connects into the
Yeah,
road.
because there's a drain.
Because there's sidewalk here, yeah, so there'd be
Yeah.
curb and sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying if this does come down here, then we can get into the site and at some point there could be a connection. Right. The
So
trail.
here's where it stops right now.
Yeah. So they're saying they would connect that.
Stops at the school property line, I guess. That's where it stops.
And that's where they're.
That's
That's
where
what I'm
they're-
thinking of.
Yeah.
Boxes that are on, that's the widest footprint they have, by the deepest footprint they have, plus another for patio or deck, just so that we can make sure that things can fit.
It's a big lots, yeah.
Yeah, Ridge line
Those are already counted.
Shoot.
Actually, I think 4 of them.
The ridge line coverage is super regular.
That's what you like.
And also the soil. So that-
I understand why you don't want an easement.
When will you be doing the traffic study? Because with 14 units, that's going to be a hot corner during the school times.
Well, that was another question we had. I mean, the ordinance says we're going to be generating more than 100 trips in the peak hour. We're not going to be generating more than 100 trips in the peak hour. So I don't know that traffic study is required unless, there's other provisions if it's, at an intersection that's confusing and the township feels it's necessary or, where there's a lot of accidents and things like that. Those don't seem to apply to. So,
Well, you're going to have secondary buildings and elementary buildings, so there's going to be buses throughout most of the morning and most of the afternoon.
that's not really
Well-
the, from this
This
development.
development, yeah. The
I
question
was
is what
thinking
this
more of the
development
morning.
would generate, but it's a valid concern of,
Especially when people are going to work.
and I believe there's good site distance here.
We looked at the site distance and we have the consensus.
I don't know what the rest. Personally, I like the idea of the extended sidewalk. School is still under construction. They can do a change order and get this in. If somebody could talk to them. Yeah, I don't know where they are budget-wise, but to connect that.
All the schools are
I
always-
know, there, and given the current timing,
Yes,
the
exactly.
times, it is.
Are you proposing rolled curb inside the development?
We're asking
vertical.
for a waiver for side of the house.
So you don't want any curbing or sidewalk?
Kind of looking for a large block kind of. To kind of take advantage of some of the existing vegetation that's there. Sure, vegetation might keep some. That's one of the purposes for the waiver of the curve. It all does drain down to the site too. It's not deal with the rest, but if we did curve, I'm not sure what.
I think it's just a vertical, the role would be a waiver request. There have been some. Back to, well,
I was going to
Yes.
say, to finish that thought process, we could have woodside squares to capture.
The reason I ask, is I live in a development that has no curb, has no sidewalk, and now has a lot of kids. And the street is not wide enough if someone parks in the street for 2 other cars to get by. And it's just not a safe situation for the kids. And they're out in the street. I mean, we travel less than 20 miles an hour because you never know when they're going to come down the runway or the driveway, excuse me, out into
It's
the
a runway.
street. It is a runway, yeah.
For them, it's a runway.
So that's my concern about not having any curbing and any sidewalk within the development.
well,
I live on a cul-de-sac, but I'm also I'm on the corner. So the cul-de-sac, but it's actually not the cul-de-sac that's the problem.
Well,
Because there's only three houses in the cul-de-sac.
And speaking with the owner, biggest concern. Side.
Mhm.
It's cut through that happens. It happens on this property.
Yeah.
So the curbing, if we can have the sidewalk, go in this direction, commit to that connection versus internal curbing, it's not a deal killer. It's, again, it's just more of an aesthetic. But
what we've seen on some, staying on that same thought of, but this cul-de-sac, I doubt, and you're saying 4 bedrooms, it's not unlikely for these units, so you're gonna have families.
there's
The
gonna be-
kids are gonna have to get from here, and here, and here, out here to the bus. And on the street, what we've seen sometimes is sidewalks. So I'm not sure what the slope is here, but as you're saying with the swale, if the sidewalk's on one side and your swale's on the other to catch your water with the lawn inlets, et cetera, and you're natural looking. But personally, I'd like to see sidewalk on at least one side of the cul-de-sac or a pedestrian way for the kids to get in and out to the school bus and just people to get out here and to get to the sidewalk. So that they don't have to walk on the street proper. They use the sidewalk, which they could get here to the school, potentially back to the trail, move around high school, the new middle school, and have a nice walk and get back. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think if we decide.
Well,
Yeah, the sidewalk would be better spent here in commercial areas. This traffic, pedestrian traffic. Sidewalk. Because that's the way that's what. Sidewalk.
well,
But you don't have any houses there now either.
We don't.
I mean, it's a vacant lot, so it's
But
easy
it's
to
a
cut
business.
through. No, I understand that, but it's easy
But,
to cut through
are
here.
they're coming from Sue Ann, the
I have
development
no
over
idea
here?
where they're coming from.
But I mean, if you do if you put the sidewalk here, once they learn that, they can go that way as opposed to, anyway, this way, but, they'll have an option. Right now, they don't have any option to get from here to here, except cutting through personal property. Yeah.
I feel like regardless if there's sidewalks or no sidewalks, they're gonna come through. If it's a
Yeah,
street, they're gonna come through. But
they're gonna say, thank you, you put a street in for me now, where I had to walk through the weeds and the horse pasture, yeah. You're right. Yeah. So yeah, you could, something degree, control that with sidewalk. Because you're gonna have the road for sure. You can't avoid that.
Because that is part of the plan. We have to get the sidewalk across.
Okay, so you see right here, this piece, there's a little road connection there to that property. So that's how it, so that parcel is part of this plan. I think that's what
So this area right here is gonna be gated to.
So actually, do have part of the
So they'll still have access
They don't here. They don't currently have a driveway out there. It's just a drive or
But you're eliminating that. Yeah.
So their only access will be this.
Frontage on the street as well as on that city, but that will be only the new road.
I don't
Oh,
love seeing, I don't love seeing sidewalks on one side and not the other personally. I mean, I'd love to see sidewalks on both, but I feel like if you're not gonna have sidewalks on both sides, no sidewalks. anymore. That's my personal opinion. But
Expressed it as my opinion. So we have 3 more to weigh in.
I mean, I'd love to see
Okay,
sidewalks on both
But,
sides.
yeah.
There's space for that.
Yeah, some form of sidewalk, I get in the opinion, yeah. I'm somewhat limited because it's only 14 homes and it is called cul-de-sac. It's not part of a larger development. We're gonna get a higher volume of people, but then it's always a question of side you put it on if you don't do that stuff. It's just the symmetry for some. Just the appearance. It's nice to.
Yeah, for me, I'd like to see at least on one side. For me, it's a safety issue.
Since it is a cul-de-sac, so it's not like.
It's not very easy.
You know, because they are a lot the same level of traffic. So, I'd be open to either.
The consensus is you need sidewalk. What it ends up being. Yeah, this is, straightforward, like Joyce said in the beginning, yeah, it's not phased, it's all at once, you don't have preliminary and then phase 1, 2, 3, 4 with a final.
Yeah, that's the easy one.
And
For the input.
thank you. Thank you.
I know. 3:30.
Next item on the agenda is a briefing item. Lois Bachman, rural land development for 3 properties on Tennyson Drive.
Yeah, so we received a deferral of land development request for 15, 19, and 23 Tennyson Drive. The majority of the properties are located within Lancaster City. There's a small kind of awkward portion that is located within East Lampeter, hence why they're asking for a deferral. In this case, it's only a small portion of the corner of the property as well as a portion of the garage. So as long as they meet ELSA requirements, the township doesn't have any issue.
Also is the sewer authority. And that's the portion, as I understand, the portion of the property in the township is where the sewer connection is.
Yes.
So we can't not address it. But we may, and as Colin said, only 5-10% of the property is in the township. But so
Yep, so we'll see that in the future.
the majority of the site is in the city of Lancaster. And they'll have to go through their review process for the proposal. Basically, it's a vacant lot now, as I understand. There's nothing on the property.
So is the deferral request to us to defer land development planning approvals
Correct.
to the city?
Correct.
Okay.
So, we defer, then refresh me, do we need to have on the signature block that we,
Yes,
so we'll still see it back here?
yes.
And
Yeah, we would still review it, go through the same process, just have a signature block on it. So
if we don't defer it. we
if you
do
don't,
defer
but
it,
we'll still have to sign it in,
we'll still have to
view
sign
it.
it.
So correct, correct.
And that we didn't defer, if we agree to a deferral. which- So is this line here, is that our portion?
Correct.
Okay. That heavy line, okay. So given the plan we have, and I guess we're looking for a motion to.
No, this is just a briefing item.
That's right, it's just a briefing.
Correct.
Thank you. Jumping ahead. So we will see it for the deferral. Okay. Thank you. So item 7, other business, Plan 2021-17, Greenfield North update. Thank you for your patience.
You're all the standing between you and the end of the meeting. You can hear me on this one. Tony Sykes with High Associates. Great to be here with you tonight. I'm here with Dave Miller from 2. This is really a follow-up to conversations that we've had with staff on the changes to the project that we approved in September of last year. We had hoped clearly to be the last time we come to this time events that so many are dealing with and available to the group in terms of cost and inflation and lead times that caused us to take a hard look at that and try to improve it, try to make it more our terrific approach to do a project of this size and magnitude. We are committed to this project. We put a lot of time, a lot of work, and staff is going to the design, and we're committed to it. And we feel that the changes that we talk about tonight not only make it a more efficient project to build, but the operate as well. Just fine for our tenants in this project. So with that brief background, it's probably best to just walk over to the plan. And just a real quick review. The project that you approved last September, phase 1 was the 2 larger buildings here along Greenfield Road. Here we have Willow Road. Phase 1 was buildings 1 and 2, about 157, 159 units respectively. It was also buildings 4 and 5, 56 units each, an 8,000 square foot community center would also go in phase 1. So this collection of units is phase 1, units and the community center. Building 3, 160 units, the 28 townhomes was a future phase. So that's the project that we brought to you and that was approved. The important thing about this project in terms of our focus on making it more efficient, all of these apartment buildings had underground garages. So when you look at the escalation that we've been dealing with in terms of materials, it's steel, it's concrete, it's the issues with the apartment structure. So in order to make this a more efficient and viable project, the first that we looked at was the other thing that we looked at. This boulevard is a neat picture. This internal boulevard gives the ability to have a nice view shed down the center of the project toward the community center. But it also bisects this courtyard area, which is a large open space that we want to preserve as amenity space for our residents. And we have planned a number of amenities within this open space recreational. And we were never really comfortable with the boulevard and thinking about it bisecting. And then, of course, you have a ramp entrance here to another. So those are things that we really investigated. Also, the final point, when you look at this plan, 3 buildings to the east, just intuitively and played out, not as efficient as a consolidated structure. You've got 3 foundations, 3 buildings, 3 of everything. There were some efficiencies to begin by combining the buildings. And that was one of the first things we looked at in the design. So fast forward to February, and this plan is already behind. We are moving forward with design, architectural design, and civil design. And we'll talk a little bit about scheduling. But what you see is a lot of commonality. I think that's what I want to stress at the outset for you. These buildings are going to have the same look, same design, the same feel as the buildings in the September iteration. There is no diminution in quality or content of what's proposed. What we've done in this plan is eliminate the underground garages. So this is a fully surface park plan that works. It meets your ordinance. So the underground garages under buildings 1 and 2 were removed, and under buildings 4 and 5, buildings 4, 5, and the clubhouse were consolidated into a linear building, much more efficient design. This building allowed us to have a net gain of 13 additional units, so 13 units in density gain. And again, project is fully surface parked. And what you have in this building 4, and what doesn't really come across in this rendering plan, but we'll further develop it in the plans that we can submit to you, is the community center in the center. So the 8,000 square foot footprint of this community center has been preserved. The features of the community center has been preserved. It's the center of this building, the central feature. And then you've got 2 residential wings, a wing on each side of it. And the nice thing about this design is this community center in the design has some really nice articulation features, lighting, material. It's going to be a nice central point of that building that breaks up the linear feel of the building. Much more efficient design, allows us to get additional density. Again, we think from an operational standpoint, a better community to operate. We moved the pool from this point where it's projecting the most into the riparian area. We moved it to a place where it wants to be within this courtyard. This combined courtyard is approaching 2 acres. So it's a great blank tableau that we can use to create the amenities for this community. What you're seeing now is a rectangle and a circle. There's not a ton of creativity. You're seeing exactly what I'm pointing out. The pool is going to be biased more to building 1. The restrooms for the pool will be right where I'm pointing here, which are adjacent to the leasing center. And they'll serve the leasing center as well. That creates, again, more efficiency, reduces our impervious area because we don't need to build an adjunct building for restrooms for the pool, which we considered doing here. Or actually, we found a way to get the restrooms here, but we also considered this little accessory building. We won't need that. We'll have the restrooms right here. Pool will kind of be biased in this area where it's going to get the best sun exposure. And we have 2 acres to work with in that space without a drive aisle in the middle and cars parked in there and cars going to get under this building. That's the main changes. Clearly with this combined building, we got a lot more efficiency behind it. If you look at the difference in the parking, the buildings haven't changed. The design of these buildings really haven't changed, other than the fact that they have no basements. And, the foundations are put different. The design of the building is essentially different. Here, you've got a difference. And when you look at the changes on the plans, you can see a lot of it is parking. And moving the pool created the opportunity to pick up a lot of parking here. We picked up parking as well along the townhomes. And you can see from this plan where we filled in parking that wasn't present. It's now filled in on this plan. So it fully surface parks, it meets the ordinance. And again, we feel it's a community that's gonna be more efficient to build and better to operate. I'm gonna turn to Dave to offer a few comments on the civil design. 13 net gain. So. But the total. 600 units, now 600 units in phase one. What's 587? I'm sorry, that's total. That's total. That's total. That's total.
Including building 3.
Including, but that includes building
600 apartments, 28 townhomes. Has not changed. And just to clarify, when Tony's talking about phases, this plan is not a phased plan. So it came to you as one complete plan. And that's the intent. So construction stages is what Tony outlined. As far as approvals, we're going with the plan. So from a engineering standpoint, design standpoint, the entrances have not changed. We have 2 off of Greenfield Road, 1 off of Benford Boulevard. Those are consistent with the original plan. We have met with, there's actually 2 fire companies involved, Whitmer and Lafayette. We have discussed this concept with them as far as eliminating this boulevard between the 2 buildings, and they're fine with that. They did request that there be a 10-foot wide stabilized path access between the 2 buildings, which we will have. So that is something in the planning stages. We've had those conversations. Along with those conversations, they did request, and this would be a modification that will come to you. Boulevard entrance here off of Greenfield Road, they requested that be a mountable curb as opposed to vertical curb. And as Colin was saying, the ordinance calls for vertical curb. So we would ask that for safety reasons, that really the fire company's request. All the other curbing, that we have is compliant with the ordinance. Stormwater design is absolutely consistent with the original plan that the DMA approved. And of course, it'll be modified somewhat for the new layout, but the essence of the design is the same. We've also had conversations on this with the Conservation District. They're fully on board with what we're proposing. So we've tried to do a lot of upfront conversations with township staff, Conservation District, fire companies. So that I think we're pretty solid with what we're moving for.
They're ready for 1. We have 1 again. So about 50, 30, 35.
Who may use the pool? Pool's open for
Yeah, residents.
in this, okay, and not the other housing that's on, you started some new housing, manufactured housing. Eastwood Village is not, this is just for this community and not Eastwood Village. Okay.
Tony, remind me again, how many units are in the building that's going to be similar to those that we've already built on the opposite side?
Yeah, the reserve has 82 units, fully leased up. I think we finished it in 1988, and it leased up within weeks of completion. Incredible. Within months.
had some amenities in the basement of that building beyond parking, like storage or?
We have a pet
A
wash and we've got some storage and we have the tuck under garages in that building.
So would, other than parking, would those other amenities be available here?
We do have a pet wash. Yeah, we'll certainly have more amenities in this community. The clubhouse is going to be a really beautiful feature. Don't want to talk about it. Now be the central part of that combined building, and it will have fitness, yoga. It's got a great kitchen, and also really, given the times we're in, a great business center with breakout rooms and a conference room. So, and then in the courtyards, we'll have outdoor amenities that aren't present at the reserve.
Yeah, those amenities at the reserve seem to be a real feature that was gravitated to by the people. Yeah.
People expect more, they want more, they're entitled to it. So,
Yeah.
certainly. We had a great meeting last night. We had very, very similar presentation to the board and got some good feedback from them. We talked about schedule. The goal is to get these plans back to you by the middle of June. And we hope to be in front of you, I think, July 12th. And then in front of the board on the 1st. That's the conversation we have with Colin and Tara and Scott. And, the only other comment I would make about last night, the topic of the surface parking came up. It was offered that we may want to consider requesting some relief from the ordinance requirement. You have a shared parking portion of that, provision of that ordinance, and we are going to take a hard look at that. The 1.5 spaces per unit is it's clearly it's your ordinance. It's typical to what we see in other communities, but given the size of this community, the amount of parking that's going in here, we'll take a look at it. These remote spaces, right here, be candidates. The furthest from the buildings, the more remote, they're not going to get used as much. So I just wanted to offer that is something. To take a look at.
That's where they'll park their RV or their trailer or their boat. If you allow it, yeah. If you allow it. Yeah. Or visitor parking. Because you're not planning to number the spaces
No.
with the units. It'll be first come, first serve. I asked about the pool, but I didn't know if you needed to reserve some parking spaces for the pool if it was more than just this immediate area. Now that you don't have the through road that went back to the community center, do you still need that entrance? What's your Boulevard entrance? That one, yeah. Because you have one up that's more so for the townhouses, but they are fairly close. And you're going up the hill there. And that's kind of midway between the entrance to the nursing school of science.
The thing about that entrance is it comes right up to our leasing center. So it's
Oh.
I think it's really critical to the operation of this facility. It's where people are going to be drawn to come in. I mean, you can say the same thing about the other, but that really comes right into our leasing center. We've got some spaces. Yeah. And you get the view shed as well. As you pull.
Yeah. Just the proximity of those two rather close, and got the name of the new road that's already in. Ben Franklin,
Boulevard,
yeah. Other questions, comments from this side? Any from the audience? No longer present? Thank you. So we'll see you in July, it sounds like. agenda is adjourned unless there's any announcements.
None from me.
So the announcement is I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. We have the motion and we have a second. Sarah, Jerry, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.